Welcome to another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Now, we always shoot these videos a few weeks to a month in advance, so things may change by the time you watch this. However, as we're shooting this video, sales are not stellar. Now, hopefully things have changed because you'll be watching this, right in the middle of Christmas season. So hopefully things will be flying off the shelves. We actually were shooting this video November 1st, just to give you the date. And sales are not stellar. I can't expect you're having incredible sales either. Certainly not fourth quarter sales at this point.
Definitely not.
And the question comes down at this point is, do you keep buying when sales are low? What do you think, Mr. Magazine?
Well, I think you have to keep buying. Again, I'm repeating myself, but you got to buy smarter and only buy the really good deals or things that you can really sell easily or the things you can make a lot of money on. So there's deals I've taken on before where it's a great deal, but it's either a large inventory of stuff that half it might be not so good, but I'm buying it as a whole and it's a really good deal. It's more like a sucker deal. Those things you want to stay away from. Or there's guys that think they're dealers and they want a little higher percentage that you normally would pay from other people you'd pay less. Maybe stay away from those type of deals. But if it's a volume, no-brainer, I think you still have to go with it because eventually you'll be able to sell it somewhere.
Well, and I don't necessarily think it necessarily even has to be a volume no-brainer. And here's my thought. Now, I'm in a little different position than you are, Mr. Magazine. You've got more day-to-day bills than I have between employees and the warehouse nut and the like. Mm-hmm. You do have more day-to-day bills than I have. That being said, let's say that you picked up $10,000.
Okay.
And you went to the bank. And you went in all proud of yourself. And you went to the banker and said, I got $10,000 and I wants to put it in your bank. And you throw it down on the counter. And he goes, why are you talking like Yosemite Sam? But then the next thing he'd say is, oh, sir, we can put it in the CD for you. What are you earning on that CD?
Close your eyes. What do you see? Next to nothing? Do you see next to nothing?
You're earning 5.5% is what you're earning.
That's even high. Is that the going rate?
Yeah, about 5.5%.
All right.
So how much money did I say you walked in with? $10,000? Wow, you're doing good. You make $550 at the end of the year. At the end of the year, you have $10,550.
Right.
If you took that $10,000 and got into a deal, a pretty good deal of stuff,
mm-hmm.
even if all you did was take that money, and buy the stuff and stick the stuff in the corner for 2 to 3 years, 3 years from now, allowing for compounding interest, yada, 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 that $10,000 is worth, what, $12,000?
Yeah.
That stuff in the corner is worth more than $12,000 because you paid $10,000 for it.
Right.
So that is one way you have to look at it. I know a lot of people look at it the other way, that, oh, well, I could put the $500 or the money away and I earned $550 this year and then I got more money to spend on stuff next year. Yes, that is absolutely true, but we aren't buying from a catalog. It's not like we can pick the catalog and today we can buy this or we can wait till next year and buy it, or 2 years from now you can buy it. No, the deal comes along tomorrow. Either you buy it or you don't. Now, sometimes there are cases where you don't buy it tomorrow and you have an opportunity to buy it later because nobody else bought it. Those do happen.
Sure.
But generally speaking, you have the opportunity to buy it tomorrow, or you probably will never be able to buy that same deal again.
Right.
And if you sit down and you figure out, what can that $10,000 earn me? In 2 to 3 years, I'll be at $12,000.
Yeah.
How, am I better off having the stuff in the corner? I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
I would hope
because if you're paying $10,000 on stuff that you can't sell for $12,000 or more, you're overpaying. Yeah. Just to tell you that. Yeah. I'm just telling you that right there.
Well, even if the going rate's half, which it's probably lower, especially in bulk, it's $20,000, minimum $20,000, but in 3 years it may be $25,000 or $30,000.
Yeah, it may have gone up as well, depending upon what you buy. And certainly if you're buying a bulk deal, you might have 10,000 magazines there for the $10,000.
Yeah.
That are $20 to $25 a piece.
Sure. Yeah.
You're better off, in my opinion, if you have the room and you do not have need for the $10,000, a year from now. Right. Different story. Different story if it's like, yeah, we need this money to pay rent. Okay, that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But if you're walking in to lock the money up for 6 months to a year in a CD, you don't have need for that money right away either.
Right.
So my thought is now is a time to continue buying as long as the deals are good, because if you take a look at what you can get on your money otherwise,
Right.
a good deal is definitely, now I wouldn't necessarily go out and certainly this only applies with the kind of stuff that we sell, the older stuff. You do not want to go out and drop $10,000 on, I can't even say it, Victor, whatever his name is, his card, the new basketball player, and put it in the corner and hope. I mean, if you've got $10,000 to do that, you're speculating. Is exactly what you're doing.
You can buy one card for that, and good luck.
Right, you're speculating is what you're doing at that point.
But even from a competitive standpoint, from a businessman, that a lot of these people we see and deal with, you go to the sales, they're competing with you and us. If you were to do that and you'd make, what would we say, $500 roughly in a year, you're doing that. You passed on that deal because you're doing that instead. Now your competition buys that deal. Now they got $30,000 in inventory, and you're making $500 cash. So I mean, right. I look at it from that point of view. If I don't buy this deal, and then my money's stuck in the bank, someone else is buying this deal, and they're going to make the money instead of me at some point in time.
Right. Yeah. And again, this advice does not apply if you're buying modern cards and speculating. This advice does not apply if you're buying anything out there that has an expiration date. Do not go out and spend $10,000 on 2025 Super Bowl tickets and then try to sell them in 2027. That will not work. Do not try this if you're buying lettuce. That will not work, holding on to lettuce for 3 years and selling it. Yeah. That will not work. That being said, if you're buying things like we buy, where the value is what the value is, it doesn't rapidly change up or down.
Right. Now, if you bought Tang back in the day and held on to that for 10, 20 years, then you might have some money.
That is very, very true. That is true. There are obviously exceptions to that as well, but if you're buying collectible type items and stuff like that, put it aside. As again, the prices aren't changing. We're not out there chasing the hot new comic books. We're not out there chasing that. We're buying something rather like a box of 1958 Newsweek is worth what a box of 58 Newsweek is worth. Really, it all comes down to when are you going to find the time to list it. Right. Stuff like that is when are you going to list it. It's if they're worth $20 an issue or $15 an issue, that's what they'll be worth a few years from now. Doesn't matter. But if you have an opportunity to buy enough of that at a good enough price, will you end up making more than the $500 that you would make in the bank? I certainly hope so. So hopefully that helps you a little bit now with the difficult times. And I guess the last thing I want to add, in my scenario, obviously you have to have the money. I just had read where credit cards are up to 28%.
Crazy.
You do not want to take a cash advance on Newsweek magazines to put them in the corner. No. The only way you would possibly want to take a cash advance is, the Mile High comic book collection comes along and you have a chance to pick it up for, $1 million and you don't have the money, you got to borrow. Yeah. But even in a case like that, you're going to have to flip enough of the stuff to get yourself out of debt, because if you're paying 28%.
I have done that before, but I'm buying, $1 million collection for $50,000. So if I have to pay 30% for a year or two, I'm still way ahead of the game, but it's few and far between with the deals like that.
With that kind of number. So that would be the other thing too, is I wouldn't be borrowing money. But in my scenario, when Mr. Magazine acted like Yosemite Sam, he actually had the money himself when he walked in the bank. He shaved, I say, too. You don't have the big...
That's true. Well, they would never let me do that in the bank. You can't go in the bank like that.
That's true, too. Yeah, especially not with the 6-shooters. That's very true. All right, everybody. Do hit the like button if you could, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.